Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wandering Tavern. We've been gone for almost 2 months. That's on me. I had a couple of bad months at work, so I was just never really wanting to stream. And then Thanksgiving. But we are back now, and we have more of Lily Pete's bad fan fiction, and
Oh,
I'm
joy.
joined by Caesar.
Hey there.
So, unless you have something to say over or any before we start, I think I'll just go ahead and start sharing my screen. Aha. There we go. Hide. Child, you cannot get through that way. All right. You gotta go down. Sorry. The child was in the way. Hello, Legacy. What has you stressed? What's got you stressed? Also, why are you outside?
Nah, I think he just lives in the north.
Oh, how very unfortunate. Hello, Joe Crazy.
Yeah, how's it
Yes,
going?
we're back reading the terrible Star Wars fan fiction.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to remember what happened last time.
I'm very much trying to avoid Ragnarok spoilers, even though I know I'll probably never play the damn game. It's just one of those things. All right. So to recap, what I'm pretty sure has happened is Lily Pete has inserted a Mary Sue of herself into the Force Awakens and subsequently started some sort of shipping thing, some sort of move for the Mary Sue that was inserted into the universe with J.J. Abrams' Mary Sue, who is technically canon.
As you do when you write fan fiction.
Not always, but it does occur. So, so the plot so far has been the Force Awakens, but with Mary Sue's tacked on with a secondary Mary Sue tacked onto it. She
Yeah.
has beaten Kylo 3 times,
At least twice.
at least twice.
Yeah, I remember last time she fought Kylo and she overpowered him rather easily.
Yeah, because she is Mary Sue. And uh everything and Finn has been uh
Shafted again.
yeah, basically.
And let's see here. All stormtroopers are black apparently
Oh yes, yes.
because slavery.
Yes. And then Lily Pete doesn't know what like how to build a ship in a logical way.
When you say ship, you mean a spaceship or a relationship?
Her I mean, yes, but I'm in a spaceship.
Okay, and
I was
let's see.
specifically talking about a spaceship in that
Let's see.
context.
And let's see. Oh yeah, her name was Eliana or Dark
Yes.
Amorosa. And so she came out as a lesbian to Ray and then explained that uh, the people in the outer rim are homophobic. And I think people in the Inner Rim, and she's now cast within the, I guess within like the, fuck, I'm forgetting my Star Wars terminology. What are the planets closer to the core called?
Uh, the core worlds.
Okay, yeah, the core worlds, and I think the core worlds reject her because they can tell that she has Sith eyes. Which
Yes.
there's a million and one things wrong with that, but we've already discussed it in the last video, so check it out.
There are a million and one things wrong with her like Sith character. It's so funny.
Oh yeah, like she's part of a separate order of Sith, but this is how a Sith is supposed to act.
Yeah.
The way Darth Sidious acts, like nah, that's not a real Sith. A true Sith order hasn't been tried yet.
Oh god, that's something we need to probably do.
Oh what?
Uh, Ruby. Like
Oh,
from season 4 onward is just like awful. It's
yeah.
so bad.
I mean, I know this is a pretty sacrilegious opinion, but I kind of started appreciating Ruby's plot a lot more after they left Beacon because like the first two seasons just kind of felt like diet Soul Eater. But yeah, I'd like to talk about Ruby.
So we will do that at some point. I've been meaning to do that actually. All right. So we begin with Rey was astounded as Eliana pulled the ship down toward Maz's castle. Do we get an an establishing shot of the her bar? Is it actually a castle? I think it's a bunch of ruins, right?
Yeah,
It's not
hold on a second.
really a castle so much as like a bunch of ruins. Takonda was such a bright green, vibrant world, the likes of which she had never seen in her life. All she'd known was the harsh, barren landscape of Jakku. To see this planet teeming with life, so colorful and beautiful, felt like waking up for the first time.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it is supposed to be a castle officially,
Huh. Hmm.
albeit it looks like a ruin.
Yeah. You know, she never gets mad at anyone. Like not Han Solo. She doesn't get mad at Han, Ray, Finn, Poe. Well, he doesn't. She doesn't get mad at anyone for them directly leading to the destruction of her bar, which supposedly stood for 1,000 years. Generally speaking, yes, Joe Crazy, that is correct. You all right? Eliana asked, glancing at her. You look like you're spacing out. But Ray snapped out of her stupor and turned to look sheepishly at Eliana. Sorry, it's just I never knew there was so much green in the entire galaxy. Eliana felt a fond smile spread across her face. Every day it became clearer she had been taking for granted in her life of travels compared to the life of a maroon scavenger. Excuse me. If you think this is a lot of green, maybe we should take a trip over to Kashyyyk. Are there forests there? The whole planet is covered in thick forests, the way Jakku is covered in sand. Eliana explained as she gingerly brought the Fury down in a clearing a kilometer away from the castle.
Would you be able to survive on a planet with that much trees? Because that would mean there's a heavy oxygen density. Could
Um,
humans survive in that?
I mean, potentially yes. I don't
Proceed.
know enough. I don't know. Like, is the thing you would have like large invertebrates
Mhm.
because of the oxygen-rich environment. But who knows? The humanoids don't seem to have a problem on Kashyyyk in Star Wars itself.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at it more realistically.
Hmm.
Oh, proceed.
Also, they're setting down a kilometer away from the castle? That's a long way. Like, that's a long way from the castle. Ray's eyes nearly bugged out of her skull at the thought of a forest that large, that thick. Eliana couldn't help but be taken with how adorable the sight was. I'd be more than happy to take you out to explore these forests if you like, right after we deal with the map, of course. Ray shook her head slightly as if to rid herself of the wonderful thoughts and put a look of professionalism. Yes, of course, after you, Miss Beniko. Oh, she said with a smirk, teasing the end of her lips. This feels like bait, but I'll bite. What is it? Eliana smiled and led Ray down the ramp and out onto the planet's surface. If the forests were amazing from above, of being at their edge with a river in front of her and was practically overwhelming. The sound of the river flowing over the rocks, the rich smell of the pine trees. It all hit Ray at full force, and she was at risk of falling to her knees and crying. It was all so new, so intense that she could have sworn it was giving her a headache. She took a deep breath of air, feeling so crisp and clean she could have sworn she would start coughing out years of Jakku dust.
Okay, well, on one hand, I'm glad that Lily Orchard is actually trying to give Ray a lot more emotion,
Hmm.
but this feels like it's going a little too far with it, to where she just seems like
Yeah.
a child.
Yeah. Like, yeah, Ray has there's moments of in both in like The Last Jedi and in The Force Awakens where Ray is has a sort of wonder about it, like when she feels rain, you- when she feels like rain in The Last Jedi, and then I'm pretty sure the line "I've never seen so much green before" is actually lifted from the movie. So like she has that wonder in the movie, but not to this level. Not to the point where it's like, "Oh my god, these are things I could not have conceived of before." Eliana kept her eyes on Ray as they descended down the ramp. Seeing how Ray reacted to the feeling of stepping on a completely different planet was just as captivating as the planet itself. Seeing Ray, ooh, yeah, no, starting,
Seeing a grown woman behave like a child gets her turned on.
yeah. Also, seeing in without any sort of separating. And please no. Seeing Ray be so happy. Oh God. Seeing Ray be so happy caused a warm feeling to flourish in Eliana's chest. She loved seeing her this happy. Part of her wanted to keep making Ray this happy, keep taking her to other worlds. A pang of disappointment shot through her at the thought. As much as she wanted it, Eliana knew that staying with her, that Ray staying with her was highly unlikely, especially whenever she found out the truth. it was common belief that the Sith did not make good company. One wonders why. Lord knows they don't have a sort of reputation for killing each other and with frequency, or killing those that follow them with frequency. Remember, Darth Vader merely demoted the captain and fucked up his sneak attack on the rebel base. He did not choke him out. That is not canon anymore. That was all bullshit, by the way. Darth Vader did absolutely murk a guy just because as he came in too close to the rebels. Oi! Don't chew on wires. The joys of having a cat, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't you have something else for him to chew on?
Nope.
Well, there's your problem. Get him a chew toy.
Her smile fell and she was quiet as they walked to the castle. Damn, excuse me. Only the crunch of her boots against the gravel and Ray's occasional happy sounds disturbing the sound of leaves and birds. As they got closer to the castle, the front gate opened with two familiar faces coming out to greet them. Took you long enough, Han nodded. We've been here for 4 hours waiting for you. We got intercepted. By what? A First Order dreadnought? Han's brow lifted it high. And you two got away? Not bad. Well, Allie did most of the work. Far from it. I certainly couldn't have gotten that engine back online like you did. Ray felt a flush of pink spread to her cheeks. Well, I mean... This feel hollow to you? Like, straight up just I have to compliment you for what you did? Kind of
Yeah,
thing?
I can see that.
Jesus, Joe. That's good, Joe. That's fucking funny.
Oh, there's another. Well, there's another forest for Ray to see.
Oh, God. Wait, what the fuck? Where was I? Oh, yes. Eliana's face perked up when she remembered that Kylo Ren had said on the Fury. He, wait, perked up? What? What a weird way to phrase that. When she remembered what Kylo Ren had said on the Fury. Oh, right, the First Order isn't trailing the Falcon right now. Kylo Ren thinks I was using the ship as a red herring. It's still on their radar, but they're not interested in it. Well, thanks for being the bait then. Come on, Maz is inside. Okay, so then I guess what the question would be is... Oh wait, no, I remember. There's actually a First Order spy in the bar. Which begs the question of why Maz openly helps the the rebels, because she would have to know, right? Like, it's not like the First Order spy makes herself in any sort of subtle. Well, thanks for being the bait then, Han said with a smirk. Come on, Maz is inside. Han and Finn turned to walk back into the large castle, Eliana and Ray following after them. Ray's eyes never stayed in one place for very long. The path to the castle's entrance was adorned with as many flags as different kinds of species she currently saw. What exactly is this place again, Allie? Safe haven for criminals, Eliana answered, placing a shoulder as an placing a shoulder. Huh. As an air of uncertainty fell over Ray. Don't worry, no one will bother us here. Criminals behave themselves when they congregate with each other. It's why hut space can be a safe place to hide. Okay. That can be true. That can be true. In another world, but in normal Star Wars, there's hiding in the Outer Rim. If you were a criminal, was either you worked for the Hutts, or you worked for someone who worked with the Hutts. They ruled the Outer Rim with an iron fist, and if you stepped out of line, you got punished. Like, gang wars are not uncommon on Hutt worlds. Like, in every bit of Star Wars media, like, ever that involves the Hutt worlds, it usually involves either bounty hunters who are in a legal gray area in the Republic anyway, and gang wars over turf. But sure, criminals behave when they're with other criminals. Absolutely. That's 100% true. As they stepped inside to a large cantina, Ray was overtaken by the noise of everyone going about their own business. People talking, shouting, people tacking.
People taking talk.
Taking.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that's a typo.
Yeah. Shouting, yelling for drinks, chatting in languages she couldn't even recognize. How many languages could she recognize?
I just know Lily has like four different ways of saying talking, shouting, yelling, chanting. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, I had.
Stay focused.
Well, my cat is chewing on wires.
No, I'm telling you where you're at.
Oh, stay focused, Eliana said, laying a hand on her shoulder. It's safe, but people don't like to be stared at.
So it's not safe then.
Yeah, so it's not safe. I mean, I suppose that's true, but why would she be able to But doesn't that mean she would recognize every language? Ray looked at Eliana, the sight of her crimson eyes, and feeling her hand on her shoulder was surprisingly soothing. She took a deep breath and nodded. All right. She couldn't help but notice that Eliana seemed to have less energy than before. Her smile was strained and she seemed to be looking past Ray rather than directly at her. Feeling concerned, she asked, Are you alright? You seem down. Yeah, maybe. I've kinda got my mind on something. Do we need to talk about it? Ray offered. Eliana's smile became gentler and her eyes slightly less troubled. We can worry about it after we settle our business here. Perhaps that walk I suggested will help clear my head. Oh, excuse me, yawning. Well, all right, so long as you're sure, Ray said, not entirely satisfied with the answer, but not wanting to press it. Thanks, Eliana nodded as she led Rey to sit down with Han and Finn alongside a very small alien woman who Rey inferred to be Maz. Han Solo and Elena Benico, Maz said, looking surprised. Looking surprised.
Oh,
An
she
odd
doesn't. She
combination.
doesn't make a. She doesn't make a scene in the bar, like in the movie.
I don't remember that part of the movie.
She sees Han and just shouts, "Han Solo!"
Oh yeah. No, apparently not. Although they have been there for 4 hours, so maybe we just missed it. An odd combination, to say the least. What brings you to my corner of space? These two, Han said, pointing to Rey and Finn, and then to BB-8, along with the droid. They need to get on a transport to the Resistance, and I need to get out of here with my ship. And what about you? Excuse me. I'm the one who found them and the Falcon, Eliana said, looking down at the table. Maz sat back in her seat, an intrigued look on her aged face. Damn. Like, I know she is supposed to be old, but we got the description old earlier, so we're good. And you choose to get involved. Rather curious of her behavior for one, on such as they have information that could be crucial for bringing down the first order. Eliana interrupted. That's something we all want, regardless of background. But why? Why are you not seeking to insert yourself within it and take it over? Because, that's what a Sith would want to do for the power.
Well, you see, a true Sith actually cares about helping others. Cue the crickets.
Yep. Maz was silent for a moment before nodding. Yes, the map. Han has showed me. This is information that we cannot risk letting fall into their hands. Okay, but you've sat here for 4 hours knowing that. Had Why didn't you just arrange for the transport to come get them? Like, why isn't the transport here by now? What we need is a clean ship to send off to Dakar. Dequar?
The car.
Dakar. Okay. Eliana explained, I'd take them in the Fury, but it and the Falcon are being watched. But if we lead the First Order to the Resistance, we may as well just stab ourselves with this. She set Kylo Ren's lightsaber on the table as if to finalize how stupid such a mistake would be. Han eyed the hilt on the table. Is that? So wait,
You just whipped out a fucking weapon in the middle of a bar.
yeah. I I forgot she did this. I forgot in her second confrontation with Kylo, he disarmed him and kicked his ass
I didn't. I don't
in
remember her taking the
hand-to-hand
lightsaber.
combat. I'd forgotten that.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember the hand-to-hand part, but I don't remember. I don't remember her taking the lightsaber.
I'm pretty sure she's took it. Either way,
Eh.
he like Kylo Ren's lightsaber. I took it from his person. The man was pathetic. I am a- I am Mary Sue. I am the greatest. I just ruined any stakes this movie could potentially have. Like, here's the thing: if the Last Jedi hadn't doubled down on Rey is awesome, um, and they had just called like her victory over Kylo Ren in the will of the Force and luck, I think I would have been fine with it. But they didn't. They doubled down on Rey is awesome, and then it's just awful. Because there are no stakes. I mean, literally, what is Kylo Ren? For what purpose do I fear him? If none of the characters in the story are in danger from Kylo Ren, because Eliana has proven he is not all that impressive.
Yeah, gotta be careful about that when you try to make one of your characters the butt monkey. It's better to do it with a comical relief character. Don't do with a character you're supposed to take seriously.
You do it with Team Rocket. And especially if you establish them as incompetent beforehand and not intended to be any sort of threat, that works. But no, we need to ruin the stakes in this piece of art. And I say art in quotations. Cease. I,
Is he still chewing your wires?
yes.
Maybe offer him your finger.
All right. Finn's eyes widened in surprise at the dismissive tone she had, despite already knowing Eliana was Sith, but the idea that she took down Kylo Ren with ease caused a shiver of fear to shoot right through him. A clean ship will be easy to provide, Maz replied. Just not right away. What does that mean, Eliana? Asked, her tone less than thrilled. You need a clean ship, but I also need a pilot who's willing to risk crossing the First Order.
I believe that's supposed to say Maz, not Max.
Yeah,
I mean,
Max explained.
to be fair, the X key is right next to the Z.
Yeah, but it proves that no one went through and just double checked with things. And a pilot who can be trusted with the location of the resistance base. That's a lot of variables to consider, especially given that for the right price, you can convince a man to sell out his best friend. Chewie let out a throaty huff in agreement. Oh, Chewie's here! And he growled. Yay! Now he has to go back to being the help.
Wait, so, never mind. Keep going.
That's the first time I think Chewie's had anything like an actual acknowledgement in the text
Well, in this chapter,
beyond his description.
I mean, Chewie did something in the previous chapter. I don't remember what it was.
You'll all be more than welcome to stay here in the interim. Ray's mouth turned to a thin line. Will I be able to get a shuttle back home sooner? That's two clean ships you're asking me for, which only complicates things. Ray's expression was unreadable for a second before she nodded. I figured, no worries, we'll be fine here. Er, she said, smiling at Eliana. What? Okay, so far, so far it's been sort of Ray building up to going with Eliana. Like that is seemingly the seeds that are being planted by Lilly. So why, out of fucking nowhere, is she like, "Can I get a shuttle home sooner?" Like they're talking about like literally talking about walking through and exploring the forests and potentially going to Kashyyyk, and suddenly Rey wants to go home. Hmm. Rey's expression was unreadable for a second before, bless you,
Thank you.
before she nodded. I figured no worries will be fine here. Or she said, smiling at Eliana. Eliana smiled back. Then there was a sound of throat clearing, and they both turned their attention to Finn. We can't stay here, Finn said, looking worried. We need to get away from the First Order. Or, they will, if we stay in one place too long, they will find us and they will kill us. Finn, we've already had an encounter with the First Order around Jakku, and it ended disastrously for them. I've had 2 encounters with Kylo Ren already, and he's fled like a wounded cat hound both times.
Well, Christ, woman, don't be too self-aware.
Yeah,
Don't be
yeah.
too self-aware that the First Order is incompetent.
I've just described how I've ruined the stakes of this entire of this entire story. But don't but trust me, the First Order isn't a threat. But trust me, it's a good story, guys. And Eliana's definitely not a Mary Sue. 2 encounters with Kylo Ren already, and he's fled like a yeah. When did you fight him the first time? Jakku. He was equally unimpressive both times. She took him down barehanded on the ship. It was outstanding. Oh, stop. Ugh. No, really. My jaw was on the floor seeing how effortlessly she took care of him. Quit. I suppose there is the tag that Kylo Ren's getting has no friends here, but still, we're like he's the primary antagonist. You have to treat him with a little bit of respect if you want your story to pan out. If you want your story to have stakes. Currently the stakes are or a like currently the stakes in this story or in this version of The Force Awakens are Kylo Ren could find us, which isn't really that concerning because we got Eliana, Mary Sue here that can easily beat him without the use of the lightsaber. Her doesn't even need to use the Force on him. She's just physically stronger than him in every single capacity. And then we have also Eliana who took out an entire platoon of stormtroopers, not breaking a sweat the entire time. I'd say our stakes are pretty well and truly ruined, and she's sitting here bragging about it. Of course, that's how Lily Pete thinks flirting works. It is a constant and continuous appeal to your ego.
Heaven forbid what kind of relationship she has with her wife, then.
Hmm. Much of the internet is aware of the history of Lily Pete, you know, and her ego. Ray winced, remembering how much pain she'd been in when Ren had thrown her with the Force. I'd have strangled that rat to death if it weren't for that. Next time he's a dead man. Han glanced at Eliana, frowning. How did you do that? Finn asked, tilting his head. He knew the answer, but the fact that she took him down without a lightsaber was a detail that gave him pause. How'd you disarm and almost kill him without a weapon? My mother taught me all kinds of ways to fight. Blasters, vibroblades, a little Ichani? Oh, Ichani. Doesn't help that Ren has such a sloppy form and is obsessed with power swings, which is just ridiculous. A lightsaber has no weight to it, and you just need to touch something to cut it. But he swings that thing like it's made of Duracrete.
Well, I'm glad that Lilly at least established that Eliana has a long history of training in different forms of combat. But then she kind of ruins it by having Eliana once again take a shit on Kylo.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, Lily, I get it. You hate Kylo Ren. Yes, get a number and wait in line with the rest of us.
Such is the nature of the First Order, desperately clinging to the coattails of the Empire's glory days, reckless and ignorant, but no less dangerous. Actually, is it? Are they clinging to the remains of the Empire's glory days? Because they don't seem to be like any sort of imperial faction. They don't like
I mean,
they
they
have their symbol, but really not. And
well, I think the Force Awakens opening title crawl says that they emerge from the remains of the Empire, but they don't really go into any more detail from there.
mm, I mean, I guess I don't know. I
So
don't remember Force Awakens title crawl.
yeah, I just know they're an Imperial remnant, and then they just somehow managed to grow big without any explanation.
Yeah. I think four. He lost four times throughout the series. So he lost to Ray. He he lost to Ray. Lost to Ray in he lost to Ray in Force Awakens. He gets away scot free in The Last Jedi, but not really because they have other ways of humiliating him that way. Then in Rise of Skywalker, she beats him straight up in a lightsaber duel, which everyone knew she was gonna win because she'd already beaten him once. And oh no, she'd beaten him. He's lost five times because he fights Rey twice in The Rise of Skywalker, and he loses to her both times. And then he loses to Palpatine. Like
But
he is of no help to Palpatine. He gets tossed to the side.
well, he does. He helps her fight the Knights of Ren, and
He
he
fights the Knights of Ren, which I guess makes sense. All right. Reckless and ignorant, but no less dangerous. Eliana picked up Kylo Ren's lightsaber and examined it. I gotta strip this thing down. If the crystal's any good, it'll be worth a lot. Probably not, though. The blade was crackling when he was using it, and that's usually a sign of a crack. Oh god, we're using the new lore. The crystals are alive! They've, in order to turn them red, we have to pour our hatred into them.
I know that is so fucking edgy.
Fucking, here, let's be edgy as shit for no reason. Instead of the sort of interest instead of having the Sith use synthetic crystals because they conduct dark side energy better, or because the dark side being the quick and easy way to power, or so there's no building of a connection with the living force, or so it's all just power and condensed, so it's all just like power, or so
Yeah, this raises an interesting question. So, because by this logic, you'd think that in Revenge of the Sith, once Anakin was rechristened as Darth Vader, Palpatine would tell him to then mutate his own lightsaber to turn it red.
Yeah. But I think in the canon, in the like canon comics, he actually does bleed it at some point. It's just have to pour all my pain into this. Oh, and then in uh Jedi Fallen Order, or like the protagonist, Gary Everyman, or Cal, I think is his name. Fucking Cal. Picks up that sister's lightsaber, or and he's like, and he has to kneel down as he hears the screams.
So wait,
So he's just like,
he hears
lol.
he hears the screams coming from it.
Yeah.
So, what happened when Anakin? Anakin had Dooku's lightsaber in his hand. Did he not hear screaming coming from it?
I, d- I don't know. I guess not. Maybe it's because Anakin was already evil. Anyway, we've got more chapter to do, and
Yes.
I don't want to be here till 2 a.m. So,
Speak for yourself.
sign of a crack. I'm sure there's some upstanding individuals here who would be happy to give you a price. In the meantime, this is not Lily Pete's writing. That's absolutely just me. Matt said with a playful smile. In the meantime, do make yourselves at home. Takanda is as safe as any place in the galaxy.
With all the
So not
criminals in it.
Yeah, so not very safe then. Hey, Lily's returning that unusual definition of safety.
Yeah, criminals are only evil when cops are around.
Criminals. We've got the bar full of criminals that don't like to be stared at, and but this is safe. But the bar full of criminals is safe, and Takanda, the place with all the criminals, is as safe as any place in the galaxy. Galaxy currently being overrun by the First Order, who genocided an entire village because fuck them, basically. Like, Kylo Ren murks an entire village because some old dude gave away a map. Like, oh, I have failed my objective. Slaughter them all. It's not as if he's trying to be covert either. Despite her words, Finn still looked restless. The look on his face made it look as though woo. The look on his face made it look as though he was going to bolt straight for the nearest ship. Okay, why is Finn just a coward now? Like, I know the movies turned him into a coward for no reason, but like, why is Finn a coward now? Eliana set the lightsaber down and looked at him. She already knew he was a stormtrooper. The guilt and panic rolling off him was almost identical to every stormtrooper she'd met just before she'd killed them. Okay,
Guilt.
that's
I mean, a lot of these guys are, but these are what brainwashed slave soldiers.
yeah.
I don't think not all of them are going to feel guilt. Finn is sort of a rare exception.
hmm She laid a hand on his shoulder and motioned for him to follow her. Come on, I want to talk to you. Ooh. Finn all but flinched when he saw Eliana's gaze on him, and concern flooded his system when she ushered him to follow her.
Ray is
On some
mine. Stay away.
Yeah, on some level he knew he could trust her, but the knowledge of her capabilities did put him on edge a little bit. Oh my gosh, she's so amazing! After a moment's hesitation, he got up and to follow her. She led him outside into the courtyard and around a secluded corner, or away from anyone who might wander by or overhear them. Finn, are you okay? You seem frightened and distracted. Look, you don't know the First Order like I do, alright? Finn huffed, glancing around. I get that you can take out Kylo Ren, but that isn't going to help you when there's a swarm of blaster fire bearing down on you, or turbo lasers. They have more than just a dark Jedi. They have a lot more firepower than that. When you see the First Order, the safest thing to do is run as far as you can. Oh, right. Kylo Ren isn't a Sith, he's a dark Jedi. But
Mhm.
Omarosa, it definitely is. Eliana looked at him with even more concern than before. It was clear that Finn was terrified of being hunted down for treason. Anyone who'd just deserted probably wouldn't feel all that happy about joining up in a war against the people they'd just tried to get away from. Um, no, actually, that happens a lot, or it used to. It's called defection, generally. Right? You can get both, but depending on the moral or how much you believe in the cause of the side you were originally fighting for, or you could defect or you could desert. So there was a time when there was a difference, but now who the fuck knows? Who knows if Dark Jedi are still canon? Basically, Dark Jedi in the old version was that like they were just Jedi that basically had fallen to the dark side, but were not ambitious and didn't really want to they didn't care about doing anything positive or negative. Like
Like this, the Sith is a specific order, a specific Dark Jedi order. Like,
yes,
like all Sith are Dark Jedi, but not all Dark Jedi are Sith.
correct. But even that is not necessarily the case because the Sith were an actual race.
Well, that's the old canon.
I know.
To be
Back
fair,
when things were better.
I don't really care too much for the Sith species as a concept.
Why?
It just seems very insignificant in the grand scheme of things. People best know the Sith as a faction,
Yeah,
the antithesis of the Jedi.
yeah, but it's interesting that it was a whole race that the Jedi literally chose to genocide. Like they literally killed the Sith race to the point where by the time the old empire fell, so not the Brotherhood of Darkness, but like Revan, like the post Revan years empire, or pure-blooded Sith were so rare that they were basically automatically nobility. Like they died out because the Jedi killed them so hard. The Jedi killed them so hard they couldn't sustain a population. And that's why Sith don't exist in the modern Republic. Eliana looked at him with even more concern than before. It was clear that Finn was terrified. Oh, no. Worse even, she knew exactly how the First Order got its recruits, which meant Finn was taken as a baby and conditioned his entire life to serve. No childhood, no chance to forge his own identity. So how is he forging? How has he forged one now?
Okay, I think this scene would be better if Rey was the one asking Finn this, just so she has
Yeah,
something to do, because she's basically like a She's like
She
your stereotypical stereotypical airheaded girlfriend.
yeah, she's good. She does one thing, and she does machines. That's it. She does machines, and she wants to go home.
And she has the mindset of a 10-year-old going to Disney World for the first time.
What the First Order did, his own identity. He was effectively a slave to a cause he'd never asked for. There was no doubt but he was dealing with an intense amount of trauma that she knew all too well. How did she know? How would she know? She grew up with a train like she grew up with wealth and status, and yes, she was likely had very intense and unmerciful training. And actually, let's be real, she probably aced was easily mastered whatever was put in front of her. But like, how would she know the trauma involved in this? What the First Order did to Finn was appalling and sick. What made it worse was that it reminded Eliana far too much of the Jedi. Oh my god.
Oh,
But oh
Christ.
right. Finn, I promise you that the First Order won't be able to lay a blaster bolt on you as long as I'm around. She said, squeezing his arm. Finn was silent for a moment, despite the fear that he was feeling, telling him that those were just empty words. They felt reassuring. Eliana's presence felt oddly reassuring. Here we go again, we're just repeating things that we've already stated. As the thought as he thought about it, he made it this far away from the First Order thanks to her. He knew she was capable of what she wanted capable and that she wanted help. There was so very little he was certain of after defecting. Still, he felt he could be certain of her at least. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and I guess I should stick around to cover your back too, huh? Well, Eliana was about to crack a joke. When she stopped, she knew Finn was a defector of the First Order. She could probably, at the very least, she could probably, at the very least, it'd be nice to have one person she could call a friend that knew. Actually, there's something you should know. Oh. She stepped back from him and pulled her lightsaber off her belt. Holding it up and activating it, the crimson blade shot out of the hilt with a sharp squeal that bathed both of them in red light. I'm a Sith Lord, Darth Amarosa. Uh, Here, I reveal myself. Finn jumped back a good foot, less shocked by the revelation that he already knew and more startled by the sight of her drawn weapon. Geez, he squeaked before clearing his throat. Ah, yes. Finn is still a coward. I mean, okay, I believe you, and I'd appreciate it if you put that away now. Finn is having some size issues thanks to thanks to Amarosa's long, long pole. I believe propaganda. She Amarosa drank the Kool-Aid about the Jedi being evil. Sorry, Eliana said, deactivating her lightsaber and hooking it back onto her belt. I'd appreciate if you didn't tell Ray.
Yeah.
It
I
I
Okay.
it's
Oh, sorry. You go first.
I was just gonna finish the sentence.
All right. Well, I was gonna say that I think what's going on is that Amarosa is trying to equate the slave soldiers to how the Jedi will take children from their parents and train them to be Jedi. I think that's the comparison that our Amarosa is trying to make.
It's not an unfair one, I suppose.
Yeah, but at the same time, Nah, there's it's not like they're it's not like they're slave soldiers being told to go genocide people.
True.
Like the Jedi have a moral code.
True, but that doesn't mean that just because they have a moral code doesn't mean they're better. What makes the Jedi better is that you can actually leave at any time. Like if you choose to not want to be a Jedi, you don't have to be a Jedi. You can leave. Like Ahsoka left the Order, and there's actually quite a few Jedi that leave the Order. They do, and they form various sects and things. So there's always a choice. It's nice having friends. I've traveled alone for. It's nice having friends, I guess. I've traveled alone for a very long time. I don't want to risk ruining everything. She's probably not going to be around for very long, so I'd like to make the most of it. Fenn went to say something before he hesitated and thought about Eliana's request. He nodded, understanding, and stepped closer to her. I won't tell her, so long as you don't tell her that I was a stormtrooper. I don't get why everybody's trying to hide this shit from Rey. I realize it's all absolutely about our big reveal later that Rey will feel betrayed and like wander off and probably get captured by Kylo in order to set some sort of stakes for the end of the movie plot. But still, Rey would know what a stormtrooper is, probably, but she's unlikely to really understand what a Sith is. Like, she's lived on a junk planet her whole life. Almost 100%, Joe. Almost 100%. That I was a stormtrooper, he said, deciding he could trust Eliana with that information. I don't know if I'm going to stick around much longer, but I'd hate to leave on bad terms with Rey or you. Why? Why do you care? You haven't spent any time with Rey to have her give a shit about you. Or to give a shit about her. You were with each other, like you piloted the Millennium Falcon together, and then you were immediately separated for this plot. Now, in the movie, it sort of makes sense that he wants to keep it hidden from her because Uber Sue here, because, excuse me, sorry, because self insert here isn't there. So they're not separated and they have to travel together. And because Finn can't pilot anything, he's absolutely reliant on Rey. So it makes sense that he doesn't want to tell her that he's a former stormtrooper, and not with the resistance, because she can just dump him somewhere, take the ship, and go back home, and he's screwed. Well, here, it doesn't make sense for him to want that kept secret because it shouldn't matter. Because why would he care what Rey thinks? He is not reliant on her. He has Han Solo as a pilot now, and Han actually likes him. He has options in this version. I'm just saying. I already knew. The Force, That's why I figured I could tell you. Oh, okay, that's fair. So when we get the information to the Resistance, what's your next move? I don't know, really. I promised this dying old man in Tuanul, well, that I'd help fight the First Order, but honestly, I don't think the Resistance would accept me. General Organa already knows who I am, and she didn't seem all that pleased that I was involved in the first place. Maybe hunt Kylo Ren? Seems about the best thing I could do. Well, perhaps you could want some company. Outcasts looking out for each other or something. Eliana looked up. Maybe it'd be nice I made the offer to Ray, but I don't know that if that'll hold her with her wanting to go back home. And well, I'll have to tell her eventually. I can't not use my lightsaber forever. She looked out toward the forest, watching a few trees sway in the wind. I do intend to fight the First Order, though I'm not running. Whew, that was a lot. I mean, nothing objectionable, just kind of retreading what we already know. Finn's gaze fell to his feet. Despite the reassurance of this talk, he still wasn't sure he wanted to stay and fight or run and hide. His first thought on escaping was to run. He hadn't thought about it beyond that, just to get away from the First Order and figure it out from there. Turning around and fighting them just seemed like asking to be shot. But if he didn't, there was no guarantee that Ray or Liliana wouldn't be put in danger. Sure, they could take care of themselves, but if something did happen to them, he would never know. Poe had already been killed, and the fear or an adrenaline had kept him from really dealing with his loss. He wasn't certain he could do that again. So, I mean, okay, there's something wrong here, and I don't know what it is. It's weird. At the very least, he still had some time to think about it before they made their next move. He just hoped that the First Order wouldn't catch up to him before then. I see. I guess it's a good thing I defected when I did, huh? I certainly wouldn't want to be up against you in a fight. I wouldn't want to be up against you either, Eliana said softly, turning her attention back to him. You're my friend, Finn. I don't want to have to fight you. Finn clapped a hand on Eliana's shoulder. I'll watch your back if you watch mine. How very Sith-like of Eliana. I'm forming this alliance out of friendship and not mutual benefit. Then immediately betraying you upon, you know, realizing I don't need you anymore.
I'm still hoping that that this is how the series ends, where Ray just ends up killing Eliana. I'm the master
No,
now.
no. They're gonna get married and have slice of life shenanigans. There's no way Kylo Ren makes it through this the whole Force Awakens plot alive. There's no way. Lee Orchard would not let that happen.
So, who do you think's going to be the one that finishes him off,
It'll be
Eliana or
Ray.
Ray?
It'll be Ray.
Hmm.
It'll be Ray after Kylo defeats a like quote unquote defeats Eliana. Uh, like he'll get like a lucky shot. Eliana won't actually lose. Kylo will use Ray as a distraction, or Ray will distract Eliana temporarily, and Kylo will get a cheap shot in, and that's how he'll win. So it's not a dignified victory. It's just straight up like I am the villain victory, despite us knowing Eliana would absolutely wreck him in every way. So the victory is never in question, but as soon as Rey sees Eliana go down, she's going to like Hulk out Force Rage and just to beat Kylo Ren. That's what's gonna happen. Deal. I know it might seem cruel to some, especially Jedi, but I don't show mercy to anyone who attacks me. Eliana said, shaking her head. My mother made that mistake once, and it killed her. Finn felt a sting in his stomach. Oh, I'm sorry. Don't be. You haven't done anything. She felt a shiver run up her spine as she remembered that day so many years ago. She shut her eyes tightly and tried to force the thoughts from her mind. We should go back inside. Thanks for understanding. Yeah, no problem. Good talk. Glad we had it. With that, Finn followed her back into the castle, and they stepped through the entrance. They saw BB-8 rolling up to them. The droid gave the two a series of concerned beeps. Apparently, the table sent him to go check on them. We're all right, sweetie. He, Eliana smiled, reaching down and patting his semi-dome. Just had a chat. Whew. If this, all right, so I think we're entering Kylo here now. So hopefully we get something interesting. I doubt it though. If the Sith effortlessly disarming and almost killing him wasn't bad enough, the inevitable report to the Supreme Leader was the perfect cherry on top of what was quickly becoming the single worst day of his life. Excuse me. I believe this is how could this happen in me? I made my mistakes territory. Like sadness. I got disarmed. I got beaten a fight, and now I got beaten a fight, and now I gotta tell my boss I got beaten a fight. Kylo Ren's anxiety hadn't abated since he'd fled the Fury, and without his lightsaber, who couldn't vent his anger on every solid surface like he usually could. Like, this sort of self-aware Kylo Ren writing is annoying. And it was a lot harder to keep the crew in line without it. What? Kylo has like 5,000 other ways to kill people. Well, and these are supposed to be effectively slave soldiers. What sort of defiance could they possibly have? Like, Finn was put on watch. Finn was basically put on watch because he had a panic attack. And like he had a like he freaked out. And they monitor them so closely that they immediately knew something was up with him. So what the hell do they mean it's harder to keep the crew in line because Kylo Ren can't destroy the property of the First Order? Especially since many stormtroopers had started to refer to the Sith as Omarosa from Human Resources when word got out that she'd stolen his weapon. Okay, do you get that? Is that a joke? Is that a reference to something? Do you know?
No, I don't.
Like,
Because
is the joke?
because HR is a bitch to deal with.
I, I guess I don't know. As Ren rode the turbo lift to the Supreme Leader's throne room on the Supremacy, he could hear the remarks and snickering of his subordinates in his head. It was infuriating. He'd been made into a laughingstock on his own ship, and now on the Supreme Leader's dreadnought. He kept assuring himself he would put the Sith in her place, but the knowledge of how she'd effortlessly overpowered him without even drawing her
Okay.
lightsaber.
Okay, well, knowing Kylo Ren, if he overhears subordinates laughing at him, he's going to grab them with the Force, pull them towards him, and then cut them down.
Yeah, but he
The
doesn't
guy
have his lightsaber, so he can't do that.
okay, well, he would force choke them to death. Like the guy's known to have anger issues and fuck up anybody that pisses him off. I mean, he does that in Rise of Skywalker. One of the subordinates questions him, and I
Tosses
think
him into the ceiling.
yeah, like he's not a guy that you want to. He's not a guy that you don't. He's not a guy that you want to piss off.
Yeah. And again, the stormtroopers are basically slave soldiers. That is how Lilly has been writing them. So the idea of making fun of their boss would be anathema to that. Like the idea of, oh, our boss is incompetent wouldn't even cross their minds. Means it would be our boss is basically God. We follow his orders without question. And those who don't follow his orders without question get reprogrammed or disappear. Like that's what they say in the movie. Like Finn has his moment, and they're like, it's his first offense, so well, we'll just watch him. No, you can't have that. No, you can't have that. Yes, okay. Taking a deep breath, he stepped onto the bridge and looked up at the throne. Snoke was sitting there, looking very displeased. Supreme Leader, he said, kneeling before him, I have discovered the identity of the renegade Sith. Have you? Snoke asked in his raspy voice echoing slightly in the open space of the chambers. I'm rather surprised you demonstrate any capability when the Sith is involved. His tone was thick with sarcasm and condescension. And what have you learned from the Sith's identity, my apprentice? Surely something useful. You wouldn't be foolish enough to approach me otherwise. Her name is Darth Amarosa, and she was last seen flying an ancient Fury-class Imperial interceptor. Her Ren explained, trying to push past Snoke's patronizing tone and focus on delivering whatever information he could he possibly could to redeem himself in his master's eyes. I've personally been on the ship. It is it is a capable vessel that would prove to be an asset if we capture it, and the Sith and her apprentice would be valuable if he could be recruited. The last bit it caught Snoke's attention. Apprentice, you say? Snoke asked, each word drawn out as he leaned forward slightly in interest. A small smile spread across his heavily grotesque face. A malleable mind already familiar with the dark side. That would be an excellent resource for us. His expression sobered slightly as he looked back down at Rin. How confident are you that this apprentice can be turned to our cause? If their master has proven to be your superior, it may prove difficult to convince them of our strength. The Sith is not my superior, Ren hissed, staring down at the floor. I simply underestimated her. I will not make that mistake again. Master, I will destroy her, and her apprentice will be mine. Snoke narrowed his eyes at Ren, tempted to reprimand him for the outburst alone. I had such high hopes for you. Your bloodline is so strong in the Force. I looked at you and saw potential, a force of nature that could rival your grandfather. He paused and bore his gaze down at Ren, ensuring that the Dark Jedi could feel his power and disappointment through the Force. This is your last chance to convince me that I wasn't mistaken. When next we speak, you best have completed your mission. Yes, master, Ren said, quietly seething with rage. He stood up and slowly left the room, his mind burning with hatred for the Sith and determination to destroy her and take her apprentice for himself.
Or else what? Who the fuck are you gonna replace him with if you kill him?
Good question, Joe Crazy. Um, I assume the reason we like anything from 1,000 years ago because you can show it off to your friends. Look, General, I'm telling you, if a stormtrooper can renounce the First Order and salvage the mission, there's no reason to think a Sith can't be your ally. Can't be our ally, Poe said as he followed an increasingly irritated Leia around the base. She saved my life. She has BB-8. Why are you so convinced this is a trap? Trap. The Sith live to deceive, Captain. It's very true. They do. It's how they operate. Leia replied, her voice firm in its conviction. Emperor Palpatine spent years of his life convincing the galaxy that he only wanted what was best for the Republic, when he was only concerned with gaining more power. Even if this Sith is unlike any the galaxy has ever seen and truly means well, we have no way of knowing it that it will no way of knowing that it will stay that way. I mean, Leia's right. Like, Leia's right. Best not to poke that bear. But Emter, Emter. But Emperor Palpatine kept his identity secret. Omarosa identified for herself the moment she answered your call. Well, she's been completely transparent with you. If something went bad or something suspicious happened, she's going to be the immediate suspect. Why paint a target like that on her back if not to show she can be trusted? Lay
Because she's
aside,
an
Poe.
idiot.
Of course she is. I'm pretty sure she's already done it.
Yeah, she ever since like
Yeah,
chapter 1, she goes around telling everybody she's a Sith.
yeah, she does. She does. She goes around revealing herself. Well,
It it reminds me of a joke from Archer, how Archer will go around just telling everybody he's a secret agent.
mm, yeah, I'm Archer. I'm the world's greatest spy. Lay aside. Poe, your heart is in the right place, but you don't know the Sith like I do. They have secrets upon secrets. What happens if we accept her aid and fight the First Order, and she comes out the war stronger because of our efforts? What happens when the Sith shares no common enemy with us anymore? Those are important things to consider. Indeed,
Yes. No. Yeah,
an
no
enemy
kidding.
bearing the title of a former disgraced and a very powerful and evil faction hmm, has offered to team up with you. Press X to doubt? Well, we won't have to consider it if the First Order wipes us out. General, why are we so determined to find Luke Skywalker? Because we need the Jedi? A single lightsaber on the battlefield inspires so many people. Well, a lightsaber just fell into our lap while we're scrambling to find one, and you want to turn it away just because you think she might deceive us. Yes. We might not find Luke. We might find Luke only for him to refuse to fight. Is Poe psychic? Has Poe read the script for The Last Jedi? There's a skilled Force user out there. Her her name is Mary Sue, which with two people in tow who are strong in the Force. This is a gold mine, General. You're out of line, Captain. The Sith have caused nothing but death and misery to the galaxy, and I will not risk the future of the Republic for short-term gain. Oh, so they are attached to the Republic. Or are they?
Who knows? The
The
sequel
sequels have
trilogy's world building blows.
yep. The sequels have Schrodinger's Republic. It is there and it is strong, but it is also not there and not strong. Sorry, yawning again. You're dismissed. Poe wanted to continue to argue that it was probably his bet. It was probably his best trait, aside from flying a starfighter. As far as he was concerned, Leia was throwing away an extremely valuable asset based on information that wasn't holding up to reality. Amorosa had so many opportunities to take out the Resistance, and never took a single one. She could have killed him and written his death off as the fighter crashing, and nobody would have batted an eye. Instead, she saved his life and brought him back to the Resistance. She knew exactly where the Resistance base was. As if she was a First Order spy, she would have completed her mission in totality. She had the information to destroy the Resistance once and for all. Well, and she wasn't acting on it.
Excellent question, Joe Crazy.
We'd have to ask J.J. Abrams, and he'd just point to a, and he'd just be like, "Well, it's a mystery box, man. We got mystery
We got to
boxes.
ride on that
Everyone loves
nostalgia
a good
tidal wave.
mystery box. Everyone loves a mystery box."
And also because we want to bank in on your nostalgia for the original trilogy. Resistance is just another word for rebellion.
After his experience with Finn, Poe was convinced that this Sith was not an enemy, and he was convinced Leia's fear would do more harm than good. He needed to get a hold of her. "Captain," a voice shouted behind her. Poe turned around to see Paige Tico. Oh no! Oh, it's the sister, which means Shrek is near. Paige Tico running up to him. "Apologies, Captain, but you left Bay before we completed your examination. The medbot is asking I return you to them immediately." Her eyes scanned Poe up and down to see if there were any obvious signs of him being unwell. "Although you appear to be well enough, I could tell them that I gave you a med scan and myself, and everything is green. Appreciate it." Poe had said, an idea suddenly hitting him. "Listen, Paige, can you get me the hollow frequency for Darth Amorosa? I want to get in contact with her. I don't like Leia's dismissal of her help. I think it's extremely self-destructive." That seems like a good thing to. That seems like a thing that you should do. Acquire a hollow frequency under suspicious circumstances that may be being monitored, and just send out a transmission like to a potential to a maybe ally, maybe knife in your back. You know, all of course without the higher ups permission. Paige just stared wide-eyed at Poe, dead silent for a moment. I Memory of the hollow frequency would be in the command center's main computer. It's just without the general's clearance, it could be tricky and treasonous to get a hold of. Are are you sure it's that important? Also, what does Paige Tico do in this world? Um, so she is apparently either a nurse or medic, but also has access to, but is also a slicer of some kind, and is able to access places like um, the command center. In truth, she did meet Darth Armarosa, if only for a moment at the safe house. She was surprisingly reasonable and respectful for what she expected of a Sith, which wasn't even considering the fact that she brought Poe back to them alive. She knew that that might not have been enough to go on in terms of possibly committing treason, but Captain Dameron's endorsement just might. "We need a lightsaber on our side, if only to inspire people. I don't care if that lightsaber's blue, green, red, or purple. She's helping us despite Leia's dismissal, and we can't turn that down." Excuse me. Paige bit her lip as she thought it over. The mission to find Luke Skywalker was considered their most important one to date. If having someone who could use the Force was this important, perhaps it was worth the risk. I think I have a favor or two from those in the command center. I'll see what I can do. Right. Eliana groaned when she heard damn. When she heard her comlink beep in her pocket. Pulling it out, she excused herself and withdrew an empty table. What is it, 2V? Pardon me, Miss Benico, but you have another call coming on your personal holo channel. 2V's voice said on the other end. It's the pilot you rescued from Jakku. Dameron? That's odd. Tell him to hold on, I'll be right there. With a quick word to Ray she'd be back, Eliana took off into a run towards the Fury. Once inside, she activated the main holo terminal in the center of the flight deck and saw the image of Poe Dameron projected before her. This is Darth Amorosa of the Sith warship Fury. What can I do for you, Captain? Well, for starters, I want to thank you for saving my life. I'd likely be rotting in the desert right now if you hadn't come along. Second, is BB-8 okay? He's a little banged up, but otherwise he's all right. He doesn't actually. Oh, you're alive, though. I couldn't identify you, so I didn't want to get his hopes up. That's fair. I'm sure. I'll be sure to greet him myself when you all get to Dakar. His expression became slightly more serious. We can't expect you to join the others when they arrive, correct? I don't mean to sound desperate, but since you've done so much for us already, but we can't certainly use someone like you in the Resistance. I got the impression that I wasn't welcome when I spoke with General Organa. She gave me a lot of backhanded remarks and thinly veiled accusations of deceit. Has she had a change of heart? Hmm. It's not like she doesn't have personal history involved in that. Poe sucked air through his teeth. Well, she would certainly have me ousted if she knew I was calling you, if that answers your questions, he said with a grimace. The general has her reasons for not trusting you, but I don't have to agree with those reasons or ignore their lack of rationality. The lack of rationality being that a Sith ruled the galaxy for 19 years, hers captured her, captured her, captured her, um, and her father, I think, on a couple of occasions. Tortured her, I'm pretty sure. They do that um in A New Hope. They do something like that. Torture the man she loves. Almost kill her multiple times. And freeze the man she loves in carbonite. There's no personal stake in here. Or that would lead her to somewhat rationally conclude that the Sith should not be trusted. But sure, she's being irrational. The fact of the matter is you've already proven yourself trustworthy and we cannot afford to be picky. Maybe this is some kind of grand fourth dimensional evil Sith scheme of yours. But if the galaxy has to perish for that plan to fail, then it's not worth turning you away. Okay, again, not any dialogue ever seen in Star Wars. Exactly, Joe Crazy. Exactly. And Leia certainly couldn't speak from experience when dealing with the results of the Sith's rule of the galaxy. At all, in any way. Her and her friends did not suffer at all.
And that's not even mentioning all the historical records that show of all the horrible things the Sith have done before Leia's time.
Hmm. Oh, good. My secret plans to revive the Sith Order and gain the trust of the galaxy. You get to stay alive just a little while longer, Eliana snickered, leaning back against a console. Oh, yeah, your stormtrooper friend's here, too. He's doing all right, but it looks like the First Order's got him spooked. Well, good to know he's okay. Finn's easy to spook, but he's got a good heart. You knew him for 5 minutes, maybe less. Give him a little push, and do the right thing. The captain looked over his shoulder, as if checking it as to whether or not he was being watched. I can try to smooth things over before you all arrive, but I can't guarantee they'll pull out the welcome wagon when you land. But they will listen whether they like it or not. Honestly, Organa doesn't bother me. Jedi are always obstinate and hostile. I've seen that kind of behavior before, and honestly, I have no interest in reviving an ancient and pointless blood feud. Except the thousands of species that, or, well, not thousands, millions of people, planets, um, species that suffered under the rule of the Sith. Like, so supposedly Eliana's whole Sith Order is separate from Darth Bane's, and they weren't even involved with the Brotherhood of Darkness, which means that they're a remnant of the ancient Empire Sith. So I have the question of why is she like this? Like, ancient Empire Sith gave no fucks. Their emperor literally ate a planet once. Bro just went out there and was like, nom nom. He did it to his home planet too. Also, yeah. Who called that who Hey Joe, you need to pick up your phone because you called it. Damn it, that doesn't work. Fuck. Alright, whatever. I'll help you regardless of whether Organa welcomed me or not. Good to hear, thanks, Darth. Earth before pausing and checking. Huh, I never thought I'd hear myself say that. So, do I just call you Darth or Lord Armorosa, or Lord Armorosa will do for now? Well, I have a name, but I prefer my Sith name for most people. Understood. Thank you again, your lordship. Is there anything else about the situation we should know? First of all, I said Lord Amorosa, not your lordship. Okay, you understand that your lordship is still an honorific? Like, it's still a title? Second, I'm trying to get Rey and Finn on a clean ship to Dakar. The First Order intercepted the Fury and Kylo Ren boarded us. I disarmed him and almost killed him, but he used the Force to hurt Rey, and I had to let him go to check on her. I kept his lightsaber, though. Here, let me just brag about how for the fourth time, I think, in this chapter alone, she's bragged about kicking Kylo Ren's ass for
Yeah.
no reason. Like, no reason. Like, this doesn't need to be here. Or it's so unnecessary. Why the fuck does she need to brag to Poe about this? She could just explain it later. Poe's eyes widened. He very much remembered Kylo Ren. He remembered being taken prisoner by him. He certainly remembered the Dark Jedi invading his mind and peering into his memories, as much as he liked to forget. His experience with Force users was very limited up to that point, and his first encounter was extremely unpleasant. To recruit someone who could defeat him so easily. Yeah, we definitely need you on our side, he said plainly. Of course you do. She's Mary Sue. She's literally invincible. The plot will protect her. Eliana cocked an eyebrow at Poe's reaction to what she considered to be a mundane piece of information. I'm Saitama. One punch. Something the matter, Captain? You seem distressed. Poe shook his head. Oh, it's nothing. It's just my experience with Kylo Ren was less than pleasant, he said, his face contorting in phantom pains. Something he was more than capable of ignoring when there were more pressing matters to take his mind off the experience. Less so when the conversation forced him to dwell on it. Eliana's air of professionalism dropped and she looked at him with concern. Are you going to be alright? It looks like whatever he's done is sticking with you. I I can worry about that what he's done later. I don't think it's going to go away, but I can work past it for now. All right, Eliana nodded, deciding not to press the issue further. Whatever Ren had done was something Poe clearly didn't want to talk about, and trying to force him would only make things worse. Well, if it's any consolation, I fully intend to kill him. That did bring a smile back to Poe's face. I certainly appreciate that, Lord Amorosa. We'll help you with that in any way we can once you arrive. I appreciate the help. Amorosa out. Oh, Eliana said, shutting off the holo terminal. She sat and sat back down on the couch, rubbing her eyes. Not only was the Dark Deadite trying to murder everything he sees, but he'd apparently done something to the pilot that was enough to cause lasting psychological damage. Kylo Ren might be a joke to her, but to people who can't use the Force, even he would be frightening. So this is okay. So we're now so this paragraph or this whole interaction with Poe, this last little bit, is Lily Pete trying to re-inject stakes into the antagonist that is Kylo Ren, threat. And she basically flat out says it. Kylo Ren is a joke to Mary Sue, my self-insert character. But to everybody else, he's super frightening. Like he is a threat. You should consider him a threat. It, but I'm already over here. Like Omarosa's already beaten him twice,
Yeah.
once without ever drawing a weapon, and while he had one. Like there is no threat to him anymore. And you've characterized him as a sort of like a pathetic, insecure rage monster, which I know is what you believe him to be and what he kind of is in the movies. But if you wanted him to be an antagonist, if you wanted him to be a pathetic antagonist, don't set something like this up. And if you want him to be an actual threatening antagonist, you can't have him be a joke to one of your main characters. You cannot have your cake and eat it too, Lily. That's not how this works. She stood up and realized just how tired she was. She'd barely slept during the flight to Takanda, and she was starting to feel the effects. She took a deep breath and tried to collect herself before exiting the Fury and returning to Maz's castle. She could sleep later. For now, she wanted to be with her friends. My friends are my power. Quickly, to the comments.
Oh God.
Assuming... oh
Oh
my
my
god.
God.
Rey continues to be absolutely adorable. I hope she gets to see all those new worlds. I hope Eliana gets to show her them.
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God. And then someone responds quoting Aladdin.
Yep. Okay, it's a small moment, but I really love Rey's reaction to touching down on Takanda. It fits someone like her would be blown away by a planet with life and more to the point, water. I also like the moments Eliana has with Poe and Finn. It makes it clear that while Eliana can be a little silly at times, she's still the most experienced of the current generation characters. On the less introspective end, Kylo suffering is never not fun. I personally look forward to seeing how far Ren humiliation conga line extends to. Let's see. Uh, I'm fine with Eliana being the big focus. She's a badass and I love her.
It needs more gays. Is
Yep,
that Rantasmo from Channel Awesome?
I don't know. Don't know and
Rhetorical.
will not click to find out. The interactions Eliana has with Finn and Poe are very good, and their personalities really work off hers really well. Of course, because she is a Mary Sue, and they actually really just complimented her. Like that was it. They complimented her and bore their hearts out to her for no reason. Like again, Finn and Poe was unconscious for most of his time with. Yeah, Finn was unconscious for most of his time with her, and then or Poe was unconscious for most of his time with her, and then Finn again had was with her for a short time and then separated. Fucking two traumatized lesbians find each other. Sith critical? How is this critical of the Sith?
Okay.
Oh no.
Well, it's
Oh
Sith.
no.
What?
Oh no, my boy. My boy has been tainted by this horror. My boy, no.
So Force Unleashes canon.
I I guess it's canon in this story. God help me.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess
Meanwhile,
it
Shrek is in this fic.
okay. So I guess it's Sith critical because Lily Orchard is going to explain to us how Darth Amorosa is a true Sith. What we've seen in the past, nah, that wasn't that wasn't a real Sith.
Of course. Because, no real Sith wouldn't show mercy or something in stupid moral quandary bullshit. Um anyway, I have bad news. We're going away for 2 weeks again.
Oh no, this is news to me.
For well, so next weekend I will be out of town, and then the weekend after that is Christmas Eve.
Oh crap, that's right.
Yeah, so we will be gone for 2 weeks for the Christmas, and then I guess we'll be back for New Year's Eve. I don't really care about New Year's Eve. Do you?
Not really.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Can't really think of anything special we could do.
Yeah. So,
See you
yes,
guys
I
in
know,
January.
Joe. Oh, it is truly saddening. But yes, we will be gone for those 2 weeks and then be back New Year's Eve or well, New Year's Day actually, because we will just stream that. Uh,
Yeah, on Sunday.
yeah, we'll just stream that Sunday. So we'll see you all in 2023.
Yes.
Damn,
See you
this year's
guys
gone
in
by
the
fast.
future.
Yeah, All right. Y'all, thank you for wandering into the Wandering Tavern, and you'll have a good night.